For the last 10 years or so, the live service game model has ravished the games industry. Thanks to the popularity of games like Destiny and Fortnite, everyone thought it would be great to jump onto this trend and try to extract as much money as possible. And because of that, we've seen many games come and go like Anthem, Rumbleverse, Knockout City, Lawbreakers, Babylon's Fall, Evolve, and the list goes on and on. Few have been able to recover after many updates like Halo Infinite did, but they're never really able to pull all the players back in after that bad first impression. It seems that maybe developers and publishers might finally be catching on to the fact that not every game can last for decades plus. But before we get those single-player narrative games again, we just have to wait for the other 90 live service games that started development before this realization. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every live service game is awful. Now bear with me for a minute on this analogy, I promise it comes back around. You're looking at the video game version of the grandma who lived through the Depression that washes and reuses Ziploc bags. I know we're past that time, but I can't let Avengers go. The point being, some of these games do gather a small community of dedicated players that do support them. The game may not last for years to come like the studio was planning, but they managed to keep it on life support well after the plug should have been pulled. Just by looking at one of these, it's hard to tell how these games will go. Will they be a smash hit? Will they die immediately? Or quietly stick around for a few years before shutting down? Any of these could be the case for a game like Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Okay, so maybe we already know that Suicide Squad is not a Guitar Hero smash hits. Since DC Fandom in 2020, where Suicide Squad was announced, alongside Gotham Knights, a Flash trailer, and a bunch of other DC stuff that people apparently didn't like that I thought was cool. That's not any new information, you guys already know I like terrible movies. People have mostly been down on Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which always seems to be the case when Task Force X shows up anywhere. Maybe it's the oversaturation of Harley Quinn, or everyone gave up on the team after hearing some of the world's cringiest dialogue in that David Ayer movie.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
Blah, blah, blah. All of that chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
Oh!
What's that? I should kill everyone and escape?
I don't want no beef.
You want no beef? You don't want
Why,
no
what's
beef?
wrong?
You don't want no beef?
You don't like
No, hold on, that last one is fine. We all know that's the most quotable line from that movie. You don't want no beef? Now, if you've been around this channel for a little bit, you may know that I have a special place in my heart for a certain era of DC Comics called the New 52, which was where I first encountered the Suicide Squad and became enthralled with them. I also happen to very much enjoy Batman Arkham Asylum and the other games that came after that weren't nearly as good, but that's a topic for another day. I bring these two things up now because Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is the latest entry in the Batman Arkham series. Developed by Rocksteady and published by WB Games, the Batman Arkham series spans 4 Batman games: Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, and Arkham VR. And if you want to get technical, it's 5 including Arkham Origins, which was developed by WB Montreal instead. And after Arkham Knight, besides the release of Arkham VR, Rocksteady had been silently working away for 9 years on the final installment of the series, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, leaving behind the series' roots of a single-player Metroidvania with free-flowing combat, and instead decided to make Suicide Squad. Exactly what everybody wanted from Rocksteady, a multiplayer third-person looter-shooter live service game, where you will take control of either Harley Quinn, Deadshot, King Shark, or Captain Boomerang on an adventure to kill the Justice League. While a majority of the guns are interchangeable, with each character getting used 3 out of the 6 different weapon types: pistols, SMGs, snipers, light machine guns, assault rifles, and shotguns. But each character really varies in playstyle by their melee weapon, like Harley's bats and hammers, Shark's knives and hooks, boomerangs, and Deadshot's signature wrist cannons, which all differ in ranges and attack style. But the major thing that sets them all apart is each character having drastically different modes of traversal. Harley uses one of Batman's drones and a grappling hook to swing around. Deadshot takes to the skies in a jetpack. Boomerang uses a Speed Force gauntlet to teleport and sprint, because that fits that character a lot. And King Shark jumps. But big jumps. Now, melee weapons and traversal may not sound like major differences in gameplay, but when you get your hands on the sticks, you'll find that there actually is a pretty big learning curve for each character. I played the majority of the game as Harley. I liked the swinging traversal method, but when switching to other characters, I found it nearly impossible to navigate the jetpack or the boomerang. When I realized I couldn't just pull myself to the edges of buildings, or stall on a swing and dodge bullets without moving the stick just using the swing momentum. Instead, I just plummeted to the ground and floated still, not moving, getting shot at. But what I'm getting at is each of these traversal methods have little nuances that you'll start to fall into, and you don't even realize you're doing them until playing as someone else and you can't do them. But they don't just make combat difficult, it also makes you think differently about how you traverse the open world. Just like the later games in the Arkham series, Suicide Squad sets you free in a sprawling open city. But instead of a dark, gritty Gotham or Arkham City, this time the sun is out, and it's also in Metropolis. This version of Metropolis is overflowing with love for the DC universe. You'll find references to various villains such as Peacemaker and Deathstroke, but also references to the greater universe like a Booster Gold Museum or Queen Consolidated, or even the DEO. You'll even see little small details in places like inside the Daily Planet, where you'll find a desk for each of the well-known Superman characters that work there, and inside the Batcave, where you'll find a variety of trophies Batman's kept from defeating his foes over the years and in previous games. Even well-known Superman locations like Centennial Park are beautifully crafted in this version of Metropolis. And when I say beautiful, I mean this game is truly gorgeous. Gone are the days of Rocksteady where every villain looked like Joe Rogan, but also a juggalo. Juggalo Rogan? The character models and facial animations are incredibly true to life, and every location is meticulously crafted to an absurd level, really showing how much care Rocksteady put into this. Now, all of this combat traversal and graphics are great, but what do you do in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? You kill the Justice League.
Just another dead clown.
Or at least try to anyway. And you probably also want to know why you kill the Justice League, because they seem like a friendly group of people most of the time. Well, taking place just 5 years after the events of Arkham Knight, it turns out that Bruce Wayne faked his death and went on to join up with a group of other heroes to create the Justice League, a group formed to fend off world-threatening enemies. And just around the time of Justice Day, which is a holiday to celebrate the Justice League, sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? The Collector of Worlds Brainiac brainwashes the Justice League, turning them evil. So everyone's most hated DC character, Amanda Waller, sticks bombs in our villains turned heroes' necks and tasks them with defeating the Justice League and stopping Brainiac. Throughout the game's short 6-chapter story, you'll spend time doing everything from fetch quests to defending locations and vehicles like an Overwatch payload, to breaking into iconic DC locations and saving civilians like their Pokemon. The last one's definitely the weirdest, but they kind of try to make it logical. Now, trying not to get into too many spoilers, the story here is a classic Suicide Squad origin meets JLA Tower of Babel. It's a short story, but it's well crafted, and divided the time between the heroes well enough that you don't feel like anyone was skipped over, but it still leaves you wishing it was a little longer. But we can't forget this is a Suicide Squad game, so it does try comedy, and it actually lands some jokes pretty well.
Fricasseed penguin. Let's get him to... Oh my god, he's getting up!
Hitting him again.
He's ran out the door! Somebody stop him!
Did that get him?
No!
There are some running gags throughout the whole story that gave me a chuckle every time, and there were some one-offs that really got me. But it was also along with a hefty serving of that "we're bad guys, it's what we do" quality writing. So it's well balanced out, I guess. You'll spend a majority of your time in the story finding a weakness for each member of the Justice League, going to get whatever you need to exploit that weakness, and then picking off the members one by one. And don't come at me with that being a spoiler in the comment. If you put it on the front of the box, it's not a spoiler. That would be like you getting mad at me if I told you that the gingerbread man is in Shrek when he's on the box. The gingerbread man's not in the Shrek box? How is he not? Gingy's the main character. My bad, guys. I really blew it with that one. I'm sorry. The other half of the story consists of finding support members to join the squad to assist with weapons, upgrades, and more. But that's about all I can say story-wise without getting into spoiler territory. I try not to get into spoilers usually because I want people to experience whatever I'm talking about for themselves, but I also feel like I can't really talk about Suicide Squad without talking about the in-game live service aspects of it. But to do that, I would need to spoil the whole back half of the game. So if you don't want to hear any of that, I will actually for once put some timestamps, and you can skip ahead to avoid any of those spoilers. Or go play the game and come back here once you're done. However you prefer to approach it, I won't judge. But the basis of the endgame is slowly unveiled throughout the story until it's finally revealed that there are multiple Brainiacs across multiple universes, all working together. The main Brainiac you'll be fighting in the base game will be the Brainiac of Earth 2, with the story ending directly after you defeat him, and then abruptly revealing a cliffhanger that there are 13 Brainiacs in total, and defeating each one will become the basis of the rest of the seasons of the game. The whole multiverse thing was an unexpected 180 that really hit me out of nowhere, but I think it sets up the end game for a lot of possibilities in the future. For now, the pre-season 1 is called Finite Crisis and has the player collecting Promethium by doing various side missions around Metropolis, consisting of the same stuff you did throughout the story, minus the cool set pieces, so that you can power a portal to Earth 2, where you will do incursion missions to unlock Infamy set gear for completing missions. Now, I know that was a lot of information to take in. Promethium is just a resource. You collect it, you can use them for portals. Incursion missions are just missions where you go to another Earth. And Infamy sets are weapons and other gear based off of various villains from the DC universe that can be stacked together for bonuses, and they are kind of like the big ticket loot item you want to get. The ones from the preseason are the Bane Infamy set, with others to follow in later seasons. And that is the whole loop of the endgame. Collecting Promethium to complete an incursion mission, all to check off the list of Infamy sets. It definitely becomes repetitive at this point, as do most live service games early on in their life before they get content updates. There is, of course, other things like level ups, building out your skill trees, squad rankings, and crisis ranking. But you can only chase that carrot on the stick of getting to a higher level for so long before it starts to lose its appeal. Plus, there's only 3 incursion missions right now in the pre-season 1 version of the game, so the repetitiveness really takes a toll on you when you have a bunch of Promethium already and you're just running and running and running the same 3 missions over and over again. Of course, there is a slight change in missions because you can rank them up in mastery level, which is just a new higher difficulty for it, starting with the 3 basic difficulties at the beginning of the game through mastery level 20. Now, I know doing the exact same thing, but just a little bit harder over and over has worked for years for Dark Souls. But to go from this story full of well-crafted mission structures, packed to the gills with references and jokes, to every side mission over and over, really takes a blow out of this game's quality in the end. There's also these semi-wave-based modes that unlock in the higher crisis ranks, but they don't net infamy gear, so they don't get thrown into the rotation. But this game does do what most live service games fail miserably to do, which was make the campaign replayable at any time by selecting any mission individually, which are also available to play fully in co-op. So you can go back and replay these missions, still gaining experience as many times as you want, with as many friends as you want. But where they really fail, where most live service games kind of make it, is the store. It is almost completely useless, which really doesn't make sense. That's kind of the main thing you want to have working for a live service game. But all the available to buy costumes at the moment are just slight variations or color swaps of existing costumes, so I have no desire to give them any of my money. And I have a full series accurate Green Arrow suit in my closet. You think I wouldn't spend $3 on a cool Deadshot mask in a video game? But then again, we also don't know what the later seasons will bring. It seems like they're going to have some new environments. There will also be new weapons and new bosses and new playable characters, but that's stuff we can talk about when we come back to this game later. So, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It may not be the game that everyone is looking for. It's a game that I've heard some people say just isn't fun, or isn't well made, or is just trying to do too much. But what it is for sure is a great DC story. Do yourself a favor, even if you are just going to write this game off. If you're a fan of DC, or at least you liked the Arkham games a little bit, check out like a cut of all the cutscenes together on YouTube, because it's definitely worth seeing through to the end, or their cliffhanger of an end. If anything, just do it for Kevin Conroy having the absolute time of his life playing evil Batman, because you can hear it in his voice how much he loved doing this. Now I know the general opinion on this game is that it's awful and not worth your time. Despite what people are saying, I really enjoyed the game. The shooting is competent, the traversal is unreasonably fun, the story was great, and it's supposed to continue. There's just a lot to this game and a lot more to come, hopefully. And with Avengers gone, maybe this can be the game that I come back to check in on every year. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and subscribe so you'll know when I post that and when I post all the other stuff I do the rest of the year. And also get a free beef with every subscription, because we both know. While you're at it, don't forget to like, leave a comment, share this video with a friend, and fill an envelope all the way to the brim with sand and mail it to my P.O. box. All of those things help me out greatly. Just like buying a t-shirt or a beanie at blaster-goblin-shop.fourthwall.com or at the link in the description located below that like button. And now that my full minute of plugs are over, I'll let you get out of here and go play Suicide Squad.